What's up? It's an early Miz in the midday edition. And you know we're going to talk about the Giants. Look, I'm going to go straight to it. It's time for change. This team is disgusting. And don't think for a second that this is not a tank, because it is. It's not fully a tank. You have injuries and bad football play. And at this point, I think it's time to start removing some more players. Okay, Andrew Thomas is playing hurt. He's gimpy. Go on vacation, brother. We know you're one of the top tackles in the league. We'll see you in August. Okay? Stay in condition. Do your thing. Dexter Lawrence, heart and soul of his defense, an absolute animal that has not stopped running on his engine for one play this year. You got to respect that. You know what? In the third quarter of this Washington game, I want you to lay down on the field. And I want you to just lay and don't move. Okay? Dexter's back has been thrown out. You're out of here. Go on vacation. Hang out with your family. You earned it, brother. We'll see you in August. There's no sense in keep running Barkley into a brick wall with no O-line, okay? And a Cabbage Patch Doll quarterback. Yeah, I said it. That guy doesn't belong in the NFL. If he does, you want him deep on your bench as your third guy, and you hope you never get to it. And unfortunately, we got to it pretty quickly thanks to this garbage O-line that we continue to run out on the field year after year. Yeah, the O-line had injuries. They were banged up early. But you know what my motto is. For some reason, the losers always find injuries, or injuries always find the loser. But when you're winning, it's like these players can play with these little nicks and bumps. Or whatever. Regardless, we're a horrible team. Yo, put Barkley on the shelf. If you intend on giving him a contract at the end of the year, and I'm thinking they are because they didn't trade him, they're going to come to an agreement on a little bit of a lower priced contract. And I believe Barkley will be here. And a big part of that is that Mara, it's a business also. And you need a guy, a face of the franchise like Barkley. The fans love him. And I guess the backlash Mara took for trading Odell, which to me turned out to be the right decision, he don't want to see that again. Plus, you have to be drafting a quarterback in the top picks of this draft. And Barkley is a major weapon for a rookie quarterback whenever that guy does get on the field for the Giants. Yo, keep this kid on the field all year long, this quarterback, okay? Make sure you don't win a game. Yeah, you heard me. The Miz is telling you don't win a football game. And I'm old school, and I've never seen the Giants tank like this, and I've been watching football since 1985, and I've never seen a team be this bad. And at the same time, you notice hints and reasons why you would think that they're also tanking as they go. Like, the last 2 weeks, the Giants have been non-competitive. Now, I think the defense, which was playing one of the best in football for about 4 weeks there, I believe has thrown in the towel here since they traded Leonard Williams, which was the right thing to do. You got a 2 and a 5, but that was a leader and a man that this defense loved. And it looks like they've kind of realized, well, if you're going to trade Leo and, you see the way the train is headed, and once you lose games and you're not into it anymore, if you can't get yourself up emotionally, it's very hard to play football without emotion and passion. When you're losing, you lose a lot of that. So, at the same time, I believe Dable and Shane and Mara have been in a room together and have had this conversation several times about what's coming down the pipeline in this draft. And that if there was ever a season to bottom out, and since we already are at the bottom, why not stay there? It's going to be a rough 8 weeks. We're going to have to find a way to get through 8 weeks, especially Dable, who's going to have to be under the microscope and the pressure of the media after every game. You could see he's already pissed off and he's had it with the media, but he's going to have to eat it for 8 more weeks. But you run this kid DeVito out there and you play football and you make sure you lose every single game. And the biggest game of the year that the Giants have to find a way to lose is going to come up in 2 weeks against another team that's also tanking and looking for ways to lose. And that's the New England Patriots. And that's probably going to be the best football game of the year left for the Giants. Because you're going to watch a 6-6 game where both teams do everything they can to lose the game. I know it's hard to believe that. Giants, Patriots, once upon a time, two proud historic franchises are at the bottom of the league, and both teams are going to do what they can to help the opposite team win. That's some sick stuff. But yo, for the first time in our lives, we're going to watch a game like that. And I don't know how you watch a game like that and how to feel about it. But losing is winning right now. As you got Caleb Williams, Drake May, okay, and JJ in Michigan. And you could throw in a Bo Nix, which some people think is going to be a little bit towards the middle or the bottom of the first round. I don't. I think someone's coming up to get him in the top 15. These are good quarterbacks. You also got Pennis from Washington, okay? Daniels, LSU. There are quarterbacks in this draft, and the type of level quarterbacks that we haven't seen in years that can come into a franchise, light a fire, and turn the organization around, and rather quickly. And when you look at the Giants, it's time for a change. It's not a knock on Daniel Jones. I love Daniel Jones. I've been a big supporter. We're going into the 6th year, and we still don't have any guarantee of what he truly is. And that's the reason you move on. You throw on top the neck problem, the knee injury now. It is what it is. I think Daniel Jones will be here next year. He's got one more year on his contract. I'm an old school believer that you start the veteran and you let the rookie sit for half a season or even a full season and let him learn. But that all depends on how the season's going. And that's what I think we should do. Daniel Jones will be back. I'll tell you right now, with the way these surgeries are today and the rehab and the way the person that Daniel Jones is and how hard he works out, he will be ready to go for week 1 of next year. I promise you that. This ain't 20 years ago. These things get repaired quickly. I think he'll be ready to go week 1. But we'll see. If not, you're going to have to go out and get another veteran out there. Jimmy G, Tannehill, someone to hold down the fort for half a season, or maybe whatever it is. The Giants look terrible, but a lot of it is because of the way the season has gone. And once again, like I said, when your emotion and passion's out of you, when players start getting upset because they just know they can't win these football games, it's frustrating, especially coming off of a year of success last year, which I always said was somewhat of a fraud. It threw this fan base off. You're bottoming out now. Bottom fully out. And go get a May or a Caleb. Okay? It's going to be there in the draft. The Giants are sitting second in the draft. It's pathetic that we're talking about it in week 10. But it is what it is. The type of draft you get a franchise quarterback and finally turn this ship around. This ship has been under the ocean for a decade now. You got to have change. I believe Daboll's the guy to bring a young quarterback in. I believe Daboll has not forgotten how to coach football. There's something going on here, like I said. I believe part of this is what's coming down the pipeline. And, of course, players are going to show frustration. I tell you what, man. The time has come for change. I'm sick and tired of it. 10 years of trash can garbage football. And when you look at the Giants, there is talent here. There are young pieces. And I don't think the Giants are far off from being right back to a 9-win team again next year. Yes, believe it. I know that's hard to believe. But you take a look at teams in this league that have turned it around quick. We did it last year. Even though, like I said, it was a little bit of a smoke and mirror. You got Texans this year. The Lions have turned it around. Cincinnati turned it around as soon as they got Burrow. They were good before that, but Burrow took them to the next level. They may be struggling right now, but I still think Cincinnati will be heard of from before the end of this year. The Jaguars got Lawrence. Look what they have turned around. Okay? We said the Texans. Dude, the Cleveland Browns have turned it around, and it's not really Watson, but it's just an example of how it could be turned around. I base it more on their strong defense. And Watson is capable of making plays late in games as he did against the Ravens this week. So look, the Texans, as Big Pat was saying, the foundation of their team has been the O-line, and then they went and added Stroud, who's turning out to be the best quarterback of that draft. But again, that's what any QB that comes into the NFL can do if he has a real O-line. Listen, man, you don't make the NFL just because you were drawn out of a hat. You go to the NFL because you're among the best quarterbacks in the country. Even if you're a career backup, you're in the NFL for a reason, man. They don't just pick little Joey out of the park and say, come be in the NFL. That's not how it goes. You have to have a certain level of talent to play quarterback in the NFL, even if it's a third stringer. There's not too many of those spots across the NFL, man. Right? There's 2 to 3 on each team, 32 teams. You do the math out of an entire country. It's time to turn this around. You love Daniel Jones. He's a great person, and he's busted his ass for us, but it hasn't happened. I'm sorry. It's time to let go of that ship. Now, you want to bring him back next year because he's under 1 year and you let the kid learn from him? There's not a better guy for the kid to learn from, because Daniel Jones' work ethic, the person and character he is, the gym rat he is, how hard he works and studies, and the type of human he is. He's a mensch. He carries himself with class. He's groomed, and it's exactly what the Giants organization likes, and he could teach a young kid all of that the same way Eli taught him. You're paying him $40 million next year to do that, and I think he gladly would. And if there's a trade on the table somewhere, go ahead. But I don't think so. I think he will be here. But the time has come to draft a young quarterback in this draft. And you go out on this field and you tell Danny DeVito, we're paying you to play football every single Sunday and lose the fucking game. That's what I want you to do. You're going to lose this game. Obviously, they're not telling him that, but I believe that's what has to go on from the Dallas game last week on. Going to Washington, the Giants will give Washington 3 quarters because I think their defense is going to show up with some pride this week after what happened last week, and Wink's going to have the defense play. But somewhere late in the third quarter, the Giants are going to fold up shop. Washington hasn't beaten us in like 5 or 6 years. We've been abusing them and assaulting them. So you know Washington's licking their chops. Payback is coming this week in Washington. And Washington's playing good football. And they're in a wild card hunt. And I believe that Washington gets their payback this week. I believe the Giants will give you 2.5 quarters. But Washington will take over the game at home. They'll do theirs. And then you got a monster game this year with New England. And you got to find a way to lose that game 6-3. Yes, that's a type of game that's going to be 9-6, 6-3, 10-7. No more than 10. Neither team is trying to score more than 10. And let me tell you something. I'm not so sure with what the Giants are fielding right now if they can even score 10. So you know what? I got news for you. The loser out of that tank bowl between the Giants and Patriots is truly going to be the winner come the end of the year and draft day. Both teams are looking at the franchise quarterbacks. Whatever you do, don't drop past the 3rd spot in this draft. Do not try to win me a senseless, meaningless game so you could feel good for one day on Monday, and then Tuesday you can look up at the draft board and say, damn, yo, we messed this shit up. Because that win won't feel good for more than 24 hours. You tell me the Giants will find a way to win one game the rest of the year? I believe it. They've never been worse than a 3-win team. They'll find a way to muster up a win, probably. Do not go more than that. Do me a favor. Now, I'm the Miz, and I'm telling you right now, as pathetic as this is pathetic. We become a pathetic team this year. We've bottomed out this year. It was supposed to be last year, but I enjoyed last year. It was a pleasant surprise. We're bottoming out right now. I want you to bottom through the ground. Okay? Tank all the way through. Because a franchise quarterback is what's going to turn this around. And then you add 1 or 2 pieces more on the O-line, because I believe the O-line's not that far off when it's healthy. As bad as it's looked, it's been broken and injured all year. Schmitz is a beast. Thomas is one of the best tackles in the league. Take Evan Neal. If it's not working on the outside, move him into guard. Bring back Pugh. He's a veteran. Okay? And Phillips might be able to play tackle on the other side. And go in this draft and draft another lineman. Whatever it is, a big-time guard or a tackle, what is available, or go on free agency. We're going to have the money next year. Add to this line. Make sure you go into next year with a deep line. I want starting linemen behind starting linemen. Because injuries on the O-line seem to be what the Giants are best at in the last decade. So prepare for it. Put Barkley on the shelf in the last 4 weeks and tell him, yo, this is what we're doing. I think you're not stupid. You understand. Tell Dexter this is what we're doing. You get it. You're staple pieces of this team. You're coming back next year. We're going to do big things in this offseason, and we're not going to have a season like this again. So I want you guys to go rest, work out, condition, and get ready for next year. And make them a promise. Stare them in the eyes and tell them, I'm going to build you a very strong O-line. And we are going to draft a young franchise quarterback. It's time to turn the page and move forward. Because if you don't change things, things don't change. Miz.